Hello everyone, Simsy Claire here and welcome back to my channel. So today we are back in Glimmerbrook doing another Simmers Digest challenge. So this is the build challenge for August. If you haven't seen them, I also have the July build challenge and the June build challenges up on my channel as well. One was more of like a modern type of build, and then the other one was this like really old rustic looking shack. But the picture in the left hand corner is going to be what we were trying to build this month. And when I initially saw this, I thought of the Winchester house. Now I don't know if any of you like spooky things or watch scary movies, but there was a movie made after the Winchester house. It was not that good of a movie, at least in my opinion, but the Winchester house is a real place, and basically the premise is the Winchester family, she's the only one left. The matriarch of the family is the only one left, and in order to like fill the void of her family, but also to keep like the ghosts at bay, I guess, at least that's what the movie led it to believe, she just kept adding new additions to the house. So the house was basically like this Victorian maze inside of this like gorgeously built house, but the construction on the house never stopped until the day that she died, basically. So that's kind of the premise of the Winchester house. And so that's initially, I was going to turn this into a haunted house kind of a build, but I did decide instead, as I was building it, I was definitely getting more orphanage vibes. So that's kind of where I steered my direction, was towards building an orphanage. Now orphanages, in The Sims don't actually technically function as an orphanage. You have to just play it as a really large dysfunctional household and then just invite people over to like introduce them to the kids, and then once the like bars, like the social bars, go up enough, then the kids can just move in with the family. But you don't actually have like a lot called an orphanage. But there is also an orphanage challenge. I've seen Deligracy do hers, and I've seen a couple of other people try it as well. So this house would be perfect for that, or honestly also a asylum challenge. Now I think there's too many bathrooms in this build to technically be a part of the asylum challenge, because I think unless you're doing the easy round, you have to have only one bathroom, and there is 3, so you'd have to just figure out what to do with 2 of the bathrooms, like you just delete them and turn them into something else. But yeah, that was kind of what I was going with this for an orphanage. And I kind of just like talked over the entire building of the structure of the house, but I was very much so going off of the picture, because that is the point of the challenges by Simmers Digest, is to create the houses that look most similar to the pictures. And then I also cut out most of me doing the roof, because the roof was so long. It took me forever. I could not figure out how to get the shapes of the roof to work at all. But here you can see I'm adding a couple of shelves just to fill in the space a little bit, make it look a little less bare, and also to make it match the picture a little better. Some of the roofs have like pieces sticking out from them, so I thought that that was a cool way to do it. And then in here, I'm filling the pillars with some plants. The ones in the picture don't have plants, but I thought it made it look a little bit more welcoming towards the front, instead of just having these like giant pillars of nothingness sitting in front of this house. And then I'm moving on to the windows. So it does take me a little bit to figure out what windows I want to use. I know I'm going to use these Strangerville ones, but some of the windows have, what are they called? I can't remember what they're called now. Shutters. Some of the windows have shutters. So I was trying to figure out what window would be best with the shutters, because they're black and white, and the shutters are black and the windows are white, but they're bigger than the ones we have in the game. So whenever I was going up to the bigger shutters, the windows no longer came in the right matching swatches, so I went with these base game ones, and I think it looks okay. I wish that they were a little bigger, but it definitely works. And then over here, I'm just fixing some of the pieces of this house real quick, because in the picture you can definitely see that one window out from the tower piece on the house. So I wanted to make sure that that roof piece stuck out enough so that you could see the window from around the corner. And then here I'm putting up the hanging plants from the debug menu, and I do skip over this because I had to add a couple more columns just to make it look nicer on the outside and less, bare. And then I'm placing some more windows around, and then I do skip adding any furniture on the porch until we get to the interior, so don't start yelling at me in the comments that I never decorated the porch, because we do end up getting there eventually. It's just not till the end of the video after I finish the entire exterior, because I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do. Because as I said, when I initially started this, I thought it was going to be a haunted house, so I wasn't sure what to put on the exterior of a haunted house, so I was just gonna skip it. And then when I came to the orphanage idea, I had a really neat plan for the gazebo area. But going into this, we're doing the landscaping right now, and the picture had like these bright purple and blue flowers, which was a little weird to me that they were so bright in contrast to like the look of the house. But I do end up using the romantic garden flowers, and I do a whole bunch of different like green shrubs and my normal, you know, the white ground flowers surrounded by the green leaves. You'll see me pull them out in a second, these guys, and I place those all around, and then these white daisies, but then I place these romantic garden flowers mixed in with all of them to kind of give them that pop of color while also keeping all the lush green items. And then I cut out a lot of the landscaping because it took me a little bit longer. And then I went to go eat lunch, so I forgot to put my cheats in again, and so that's what that was. But we're about to start on into the interior in a second, and this is when I started kind of thinking about an orphanage. And I don't really know why, like I don't know what made me think that this could be an orphanage. I think I just started pulling out the backpacks, and then I was like, this is a lot of backpacks, because I pulled out like 3 or 4, and I was like, why would they have this many kids? And then I was like, you know what if I did this as like an old orphanage? And then I thought, you know, I'm building in Glimmerbrook, which is the spellcaster world. So then I was thinking, what if these are all like spellcaster children who were given up at birth because they were different, and so they were all sent here for her to raise and kind of try and make normal, but then they're in the spellcaster world, so they're never going to be quote-unquote normal. And so when they end up getting adopted, they end up getting adopted by different spellcaster families. I thought that was kind of a cute idea. But these were the backpacks I was talking about, and I'm basically just cluttering up this area as I do with all of my front entrance ways, but keeping it a little bit classier, less messy, I should say, actually, because I definitely pictured this orphanage being run by a very clean-cut Victorian style elder. So there isn't a lot of the kids stuff around, even in the kids' rooms. It's very neat, it's very organized, except for the fact that it's very crowded, because literally this house technically sleeps 8, because there's 2 kids' rooms, each one with 3 beds, and then the owner's bedroom, which is a double bed. But the rooms are so small. Like, it's definitely, I'm really happy that I ended up going with an orphanage, because it definitely kind of just fits the floor plan of the house a little bit better. But over here, I thought would be cute to have a little reading nook, because there isn't actually a study in this build. There is technically a little like schooling area for the children, but there isn't like an actual office. So I thought it'd be kind of cute if there was just this little seating area back here, so that the owner could sit and watch when the kids were interacting with either each other or prospective parents without being like in the way. They could keep like a close eye on them, but not be too like suffocating or too like demanding, basically. So I just do this cute little couch from Cats and Dogs, which I think really spurred the color scheme for this room. I end up using the other purple couches from Cats and Dogs, and it ends up looking really cute. Like, the floral pattern on those pillows is probably the most cutesy thing in this build, but I just thought it looked very, like, these purple couches I never use. In fact, I never use these couches at all, because how high the back of them is, I just can never figure out a good place to put them. I always just want to put them against walls, and then they don't really stand out all that much, but I thought that they looked really good here. And then I also add a rocking chair, but I forgot to add any like actual knitting stuff. Like, I don't put any of the items to knit with. What are they? The bags and the baskets. Like, you have to have those in order to knit, but I totally just gave them a rocking chair without any of the knitting stuff, but that's okay. That's an easy fix if you have nifty knitting, and if you don't, then you won't even have the rocking chair, so it's not really that big of a deal. And then I'm just placing a couple of different decor items around. I placed that tray from Eco Lifestyle. I figured maybe they had drinks out for the prospective parents to have. And then over here I placed the parenthood board. I figured the kids did definitely have different chores that they had to do. Now the parenthood board doesn't actually monitor chores in game, but I definitely think it's like a cute idea that it could monitor chores. Maybe eventually. I think there is a mod for it, but I don't really play with any mods in my game. I do have custom content, but not any real mods. I tried the Slice of Life mod once and it really messed with my game. Like, my Sims would not listen to me at all, and the mod didn't really work either. Like, it was so weird. Like, I got it specifically because there was like this one Sim who I wanted to be kind of more like a party girl, and I watched Aligracy play with it all the time. And it makes it so much easier to have, like, because you can actually have, like, drunk Sims and stuff like that. So I was like, yeah, I'm just going to get this, and, like, that'll make the gameplay so much easier for this. And then it just, like, whenever I'd have them order drinks, they wouldn't get the drinks. And then it took, like, 5 hours, I want to say, in order for her to even get the drunk moodlet, because it just wasn't. So I ended up deleting it. And I don't know if it was my computer. It was my old computer, so it's very possible that it was my computer. But I don't know. I just haven't put any in the game since because of how bad that it was glitching when I had that one. But now we are on into the kitchen. So it's a very simple kitchen. I do place a lot of, well, some clutter around, but I wanted to make sure that the kitchen was still functional, and there isn't a lot of counter space. So I believe the only counter that is actually functional is going to be that corner one, because it's the only one without any decorations on it. But the decorations on this counter here is just that little, like, spoon holder, and I think since it's far enough back, the Sims might also be able to use that one. But if not, they can still use the counter one, and if that bothers you, then you can always just move the spoon holder over, so that way it's not sitting on that counter, it's on the other corner one. But the corner one should definitely still be functional. So it is a fully functional kitchen. And then I figured this little kitchen dining table could be used by the owner, maybe when she was having private meetings with the parents, or before the kids woke up, if she wanted to enjoy a nice cup of coffee before, everyone else was awake. She could sit by herself, maybe get some work done, do some paperwork and everything. So I just wanted to give them a small, little more private area to do all of that, since, like I said, there is no actual office. And then going into here, this is going to be the owner's bedroom. So this turns out a little brighter than I had initially intended. I was going to go very, like, gothic, very much with the purples from the living room, but we didn't really have a bed that matched that all that well. So then I went with these white curtains, and I decided just to do this light blue bed, and I really like how this room turns out. It's just a lot lighter than I had initially intended, but I keep it very clean, very organized. They have this clock here because I figured they're very timely. That's why there's the chore board. You'll see each kid has a calendar in their room. I figured that they always like things to be neat and timely and organized. And then I place a window over here just to kind of fill up the space a little bit. I'm really bad with artwork, so I thought that placing more windows around would definitely be better. And I also know a lot of Victorian houses had a lot of windows because there wasn't a whole lot of, like, heating or cooling. So in the summer, they would always have a lot of windows so that they could keep them open and get the fresh air inside. And then this portrait I put up on the wall, I figured maybe that was the owner of the orphanage in her prime. Like, she had that painted maybe, like, before her wedding, and then sadly, like, her husband passed away, or maybe her child died and that's why she wanted to run an orphanage. That was kind of what I was thinking. And then over here is the laundry room. So I did kind of shove it in a corner because I didn't think the laundry machines really matched the aesthetic of this build. But I wanted the kids to have that as a chore without it being too labor intensive, because the washboard in The Sims takes a really long time, and The Sims always get really bad moodlets with it, and it almost never works. So I wanted to make sure that in order for the kids to actually do that as a sure it would be functional. But anyway, going into this is one of the kids' rooms. So like I said, they are very small, and I do shove 3 beds in each of these kids' rooms. And this is going to be the one for the girls. I did split it up by gender because I figured in orphanages they don't put all of the kids in the same room. I'm sure really bad ones do, or like in the olden days they did, but I'm pretty sure nowadays they do split them by gender. So this one was definitely more of like the girls room. And I placed, like I said, I don't place a lot of kids decorations in here because I figured that the owner ran a pretty tight ship, but I do get a kid's violin in here, and then I do give them like one wall decoration, and it has like music notes on it and a couple of different drawn pictures. And I figured that maybe the kids had done some artwork at school or something, and they really wanted to hang it up, so they got special permission to get like a cork board. It's not really a cork board, but they have like the pins and stuff that they could hang their artwork on. So the owner said that that was okay, since it wasn't going to really damage the walls all that much. And then going into here, this is the boys' bedroom. Now this room, I'm not 100% sure is functional. I know 2 of the beds definitely are, but this bed over here on the left where I put the dresser, your sim can still sit on it, and I'm pretty sure that that means they can sleep in it too. But I will check it before I put it on the gallery. And then just make sure when you place this in your save, if you do decide to use it, you put move objects on, so that way the bed or the dresser doesn't get deleted, because that's been happening to me quite a few times. Like I'll reopen builds that I've had and I've closed down the game, so my move objects isn't on, and just because I've reopened the builds, some of my objects have disappeared. So just make sure you have move objects on. I would recommend that for all of my builds actually. But so the boys' room came together rather quickly. Like I said, not a whole lot of personal objects in there. And then this is going to be kind of like the playroom. So I was initially going to do an arts and craft table, a puppet box, and then the science table, but I did decide just to do the science table and then a Don't Wake the Llama game table. I figured that that kind of fit a little bit more because I do end up doing like an arts and craft thing outside, so I figured that could be the quote-unquote playroom, but it would be for like more like science things and logic things, and then downstairs outside was it where they could actually have like their fun and their arts and crafts. And then this is going to be kind of like a homework room. I initially was going to put like a desk and have them be homeschooled, but the room was just too small, so I only fit 4 desks in here and then a chalkboard. And I figured if the kids needed like a quiet place to do their homework or to study, they could come in there and sit and get all their work done. And then out here is where I figured they would do their arts and crafts. So I placed 3 different easels here and then a chair where the owner could sit and make sure that they were doing the art correctly. And then I also placed a plaque here on the wall in a second. I figured that would kind of be like the name of the orphanage and then like when it was established and everything. And then I don't do anything with the side piece here. I do place, what is that called? A swing set, but I leave this side area a little bare, I'm not gonna lie. It's a little awkward, but the space is also really small. I didn't want to put anything there that would block your Sims from walking around the corner. So I do just place those statues there, and I put a couple of plants in there, and then I continue on with the different landscaping. I placed some more flowers, and then I add a couple of more trees. But we are pretty much done with this build. I added a set of monkey bars so the kids have a couple of more objects to play with. But as always, please leave any comments down below if you have any suggestions for me. And if you like this video, please leave it a like and also subscribe to my channel. And I hope I see you all again next time. Bye!